Hello and welcome to A Day with the Cart Driver. We are now covering the summer 2013 season in our trip back through the last decade in anime. I'm Scamp.
And I'm Day.
And yeah, summer 2013.
So
this season was, well...
hot and spicy.
Yes, that is definitely a way to describe it. I think the biggest thing...
it is.
If we kind of discount Monogatari, because it technically, this is the third season or something that comes out this season. So therefore...
Nevertheless, it's called Monogatari second season, isn't it?
Yes. Discounting that, I'd say the biggest thing to come out this season was... was when KyoAni decided to show the world, hey, do you like boys?
Do you like high school boys?
Do you like wet high school boys?
Do you like competitive swimming? My answer to that is yes.
Yes. And they gave us free. Na 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 na.
Na 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 na. So the OP and the ending for this were amazing in totally different ways. Because the OP, so we alluded to this when we discussed when the kind of promo video for this came out about all these angry people insisting that there was no way in hell that KyoAni was actually going to make this. The OP, the title of the song is Rage On. And I remember seeing that and being like, haha, haha. That's funny.
In retrospect, it's so weird to look back at that and think just how mad certain people got that this was being made. Oh. How dare you make an anime with hot, sexy young men in it?
How dare you make something that is targeted toward heterosexual women?
Or gay men. Because they did have...
I mean, to be fair, probably the intended target audience was primarily straight women as opposed to gay men.
Yeah, and there was a lot... They even had the self-insert girl who, saw the guy take off his top.
She was great.
And going, oh...
Yeah, self-insert, that implies she didn't have much character. She totally does. It's just she's the one who, plays the role that presumably the viewer's also playing, being like...
Of being thirsty.
Oh, look at that. Oh, yeah, he's taking a shirt. Oh, yeah, this is great.
So free.
So I watched it. It's a good show. It's a fun show. It's a solid sports show. And I mention that in particular, too, because a lot of people, even people who like the show, will insist very strenuously that it's not really a sports show. And I'm here to tell you that's bullshit, because I swam competitively growing up. This is a sports show, and it got all those details pretty much right. Which, we're accustomed to KyoAni being good on getting nitty-gritty details right.
Yep.
K-on's pretty famous for that. And I'm here to tell you that, guess what? They did it too for free. Which was kind of cool, because I don't think a lot of people know that much about competitive swimming and the ins and outs of things like, what sorts of equipment you're using, what swim practices look like, how people, train for that kind of thing. Oh man, it was like flashbacks to putting lane lines in the pool. What?
You were pretty excited. I mean, I had no time for this show because I don't like KyoAni. However, I will say that the ending is fantastic.
Yes.
Make us free. Just
look it up.
Just look it up. And there's the dancing in the club.
It's so funny.
Dancing in the club wearing puffy jackets and doing
They're doing their strokes.
Is that what they're doing?
Yeah, because there's 4 boys in this who make up their swim team at their high school.
He's doing the monkey, though.
He's doing backstroke.
Oh, of course.
Oh my god.
And then,
and the one he's doing breaststroke, and you have the one who's doing butterfly.
I didn't remember.
You didn't catch. Okay.
But the last guy, when he did it, he was just shaking his head from side to side like he was getting at the pool.
He's breathing while doing freestyle, clearly.
Oh, clearly.
You know, the show's called Free. It's freestyle.
Oh, sorry.
So I'm just going to point out, though, that
So what they also do...
what he's doing is often called freestyle colloquially, but when you get down to it, it's really the crawl, because...
It's the fastest way to swim.
No, actually it isn't.
It isn't?
No, butterfly's faster, but it's a lot more exhausting.
Oh, I wasn't aware of that.
But what he's doing is colloquially called freestyle. Little lesson here, folks. It's not really freestyle. Freestyle means you can swim a lot of different strokes in that event. But most people swim the crawl, which is what he's swimming. See? People have learned something today.
Anyway.
You seem bored now.
No, this is a you show.
Yeah, it was. I enjoyed it. This is another show that I look at and I'm like, you really didn't have to make more of this.
Oh, yeah,
because the second season, there's like 6 episodes of materials stretched out of over 13 episodes. Whew, yeah. No thanks.
Would you say this is KyoAni's most successful show this decade?
I'm trying to think of what would...
Because the other options are like...
I don't think Sound Euphonium was as big.
No.
Chunibyo was not as big.
No.
Free continues to get more material made for it, which is not the case with Chunibyo.
There's a slightly weird case in Silent Voice, which I know was big.
But it's a movie. It's not really comparable. And
I don't think any of their other stuff.
I don't think Violet Evergarden did quite as much.
No, it must be Free has been their biggest hit.
Yeah, because what else? Your other competitors, Hyoka, Amagi, Brilliant Park.
I mean, there's a bunch of like crap they've done.
Phantom Colors or whatever it was called.
Yeah, I think it's Free.
Phantom World, Mysterious Colors, Phantom World, something like that. Anyway,
it was Free.
It was an event.
No.
Yes, thank you.
Anyway. I did mention this briefly, but Monogatari's second season, because at some point in this decade, we are going to have to talk about the Monogatari franchise.
Well, you're going to have to talk about it.
I'm going to talk about it, because you have no time for this.
It's just not my thing.
It originally started in 2009 with Bake Monogatari, which is why we haven't really been able to cover it yet.
Well, didn't we touch on the toothbrush thing from Nisemono?
Yes, we did cover that from Nisemono, but like, second season, which is what this is called, even though it's like actually the 4th thing of Monogatari that comes out, but anyway, is... I think this was the height of the show. This was when it was at its best. Granted, I haven't watched the Kizu Monogatari movies yet, so I've heard they're pretty damn good. But this was when the show really hit its stride for me. It had so many really good arcs, like the time-traveling Mayoi one, or... is where they completely redeemed Nadeko's arc, where she turned into like the crazy snake-haired girl, and she had the scene where she just broke down, where she just snapped in school and kicked open the door, like literally kicked it off its hinges and walked in the room and going, "All right, y'all, you fuck shits, listen up." It was fucking great.
That was when you became a fan of Hanakano's body of work, was it not?
I was a fan before then, but yeah, this was like her. I was a fan then, and then her doing that. And it made like Nadeko is one of the shittest characters from Bake Monogatari, and this completely flipped the switch for me on her character. I will continue to say that anyone who says that the best girl is Hanakawa Tsubasa, you are wrong. Please leave. You are the kind of person who watches the Monogatari series for the deep themes. No, that is not why you watch the Monogatari series. You watch it for postmodernism. Day is got a very blank expression on her face.
I just remember being in... So I took a feminism class in college as part of my course of studies, and I just remember us all really disliking postmodern feminism a lot. And that was... we all became quite annoyed in class because, maybe it was just that our professor wasn't explaining it very well. But we were like, yes, but what the hell is it? And it basically seemed to just be, it's it's nothing.
Yes.
Like, there's no structure, and we're like, yes, but that's sort of like saying it's everything. Anyway.
Simpson said it best. It's weird for its own sake. But it's weird to point out its own weirdness, kind of.
To be fair, that's kind of my preference on humor. Which I think you figured out from spending time around me and my dad.
Or the fact that your favourite comedy this decade is Pop Team Epic.
It's a work of art.
Yes. But yeah, Monogatari...
maybe my dad would like Pop Team Epic.
Oh dear. I'm a big fan of the Monogatari franchise. Although I think one thing I've realised over time is that, yes, I like the Monogatari franchise, but I think I realised I like it more for the kind of aesthetic, the postmodern aesthetic that it has, the weird framings, just the weird wordplay that goes on, and not actually the themes, not actually the, like, what they're saying, because I often find what they're saying to be kind of boring and a bit pretentious, and just teenagers thinking they know the world when they don't, which is why I don't like Hanakara Tsubasa, because she exemplifies that, and it's why people who like Hanakara Tsubasa also like things like Love Comes Snafu, like Oragairu, or Bunny Girl Senpai, things like that. Just this, like, follow on from, like, Catcher in the Rye type material, basically.
I hate Catcher in the Rye.
Me too.
Loathed it.
But that's people who like that stuff will like stuff like Oragairu, and they'll like Hanakara Tsubasa, with people who like the kind of weird, just the kind of weirdness for its own sake that is Monogatari, will prefer people like what's her face?
Yeah, don't look at me. I can watch this.
Gahara. But yeah, there's a few characters, like I actually really genuinely like Hanakara Tsubasa's character arc in this. Also, I really like Kaiki just as a person. I like all the like the adults. I've talked about Kaiki.
Grumpy anime.
Yes, Wolverine. He's got a fantastic arc in this with him and Senju Gahara, and the OP is great because they change between like 80s anime art style and modern anime art style, and the camera cuts. They have a cut frame along it, and it keeps switching. And whoever did the subs for this, because it was fan subbed at the time, because no one was licensing Monogatari, they did the They did it so like the old style of the OP had yellow subtitles, but the modern one had the white ones. And they even did it in such a way so when the frame cut along it, they would have half of it in yellow and half of it in white, and it gradually moved it with the OP. And I was like, that's some stupidly impressive work to put into a fan sub karaoke track.
I mean, to be fair, that was kind of its own genre for a while.
I know, it almost brought me back. I was like, that is way more impressive than you guys really had to go into here. But yeah, I'm a big fan of the Monogatari franchise, and this is the best it's been. I'm going to watch, by the time we get to the Kizu Monogatari movies in these, I will have watched them. I've got them all ready to watch.
He swears.
I swear I will. But yeah.
When was the last time you watched any of this franchise?
It was the one that started off with Mayoi recently, and I was like,
recently though?
Like 2 years ago, and it was just like, oh no, I can't deal with Mayoi. Please just get her out of my face. But yeah, yeah. So this is the Monogatari second season. Really good. But there are plenty of other good stuff this season. We'll now switch back to a day favorite.
Although. Actually, can we hit up some ones that fall within... So we made a tier when we were going through the shows this season that it's just shows we wanted to mention briefly, and I think of it as the Sundays Without God kicking a girl in the face tier, because it's really, it's basically that. So I'll leave Sundays Without God until the end and just note Brothers Conflict aired this season, which we will only recall because it was abbreviated to BroCon in the official material. So very funny. There's also apparently a magical talking squirrel in it. And bizarrely enough, it just got a new video game announced. Let's see. Oh.
Doesn't she get like 18 brothers in this?
Oh, it's 13, I think.
Is it? Okay.
And they're all fighting over her?
Yeah.
It's sort of a loose version of one of Grimm's fairy tales involves a girl who her 12 brothers were turned into swans before she was born.
Okay.
Yeah, but that's less incestuous, which is wild because it's also a Grimm's fairy tale, and there's a lot of incest in that. But there's Fantasista Doll, in which a whale is punched. This was a tie-in to a TCG that I don't think lasted very long. It was describing the premise kind of a little bit like a cross between Selector Infected Wheatcross and there was a Clamp series that involved little battle dolls that I can't think of the name of.
I know the one you're
Angelic Lair, was that it?
Yes.
Sort of like a cross between that. Anyway, there was a whale punch in one episode. Do you want to mention Sundays Without God?
Yeah, so I actually watched this one, which was like, people aren't dying, but they'll die, but they won't really die. So then someone's going to travel around the world and
kill them for real.
Bury them. And there's this little girl, and she's she's a grave digger, but her dad's left her. And then her dad shows up, but her dad's an asshole and kicks her off a bridge. But then they like make up, and then he gives her a.
Does he kick her off a bridge? I just remember there being a roundhouse kick.
Yeah,
weren't they in a town square?
Oh yeah, he did. Well, no, he kicks her multiple times.
Oh, okay. See, I only watched one episode.
So that's the thing, because and then at the end of the arc, it was like, oh wait, you're my real dad, and he's like, yeah, okay, and then he gives her a piggyback ride, and everything's okay.
Yeah,
And I remember the scene then going like, well, fuck off! No, it's not. Don't act like this is an emotional moment. He kicked her in the face like 15 times over the course of the last few episodes. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, anime kind of has a problem with wanting to put band-aids onto familial relationships in which one person in the relationship has behaved abominably, but because they're nice once, they loved them after all.
Yeah. So that, and also I think in this category we would also put Prismaelia.
Oh yes.
AKA the Fate spin-off that.
How to end up on the FBI watch list? This show?
If anyone says to you that I was like, oh yeah, I love Prismaelia, it's like, oh okay, well I'm going to cross you off my list of potential babysitters.
It's one of those magical girls for men shows that's really overt about its creeping on its lead.
Creeping on 10, 12-year-old girls.
Are they supposed to be that old? Because, God, they look like they're about 7 or 8.
I still think that, they are 10. But I do think this is even more so than Rokubu, the show, maybe that one about the semen sucking dolly. But, maybe this one's slightly higher profile because it's the Fate verse thing.
I think the one that was the lolly incubus was less... the premise... God, I can't believe I'm even having this conversation. I think it was a little less overt in presentation.
Oh, yeah.
Perviness. A little... Okay. The screen caps I've seen from Prismaelia...
Oh, yeah.
This... the further it goes on, the more in your face it gets. And that's the other thing, too. This has had multiple seasons.
Oh, yeah, it keeps going. It's a Fate-verse thing, and... Japan likes pedophilia, so...
Unfortunately, it turns out a lot of anime fans abroad do, too.
Yeah.
The fact that it got licensed for a home release, I think, says a lot. Yeah.
Anyway, so that's the shit category.
No, it wasn't... Look, I said it was the, kicking children in the face tier.
Okay. Because kicking children in the face is not a shit thing.
It's not just that it's shit, it's what the actual fuck?
Yeah.
Or shows that you only remember because of one thing.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what, though? If we want to talk magical girl shows made for men, Daybreak Illusion, which also had some really questionable content. This is one of the few shows that I think you can point to and say, if we didn't have Madoka, we wouldn't have this.
Yes.
In the sense that, for all that Madoka is huge, we haven't had that many obvious copycats.
Yeah. Or there's no particular trend that started.
Oh God. So Daybreak Illusion, it's magical girl show. It's, for the most part, it's pretty bad. Although it did have an interesting art style. I will certainly give it that. And it's like this girl and her mom's dead and she's been living with her relatives and her cousin gets possessed by some sort of monster and because her cousin's been resenting her for some reason and her cousin tries to kill her and her magical girl powers awaken. And this was what I found a little surprising early on. She kills her cousin. And her cousin, I was like, well, I'm sure her cousin, it's, this is like she's killed the evil and in the next episode the cousin will show up. No, the cousin's dead. Just like straight up dead.
Yeah.
And she ends up going to this special school for magical girls, and there's a few other girls there. And you, of course, have your sad sack lesbian girl. And, yeah. What really set it apart, though, was the fact that ultimately the villain that she's fighting the whole time, they don't say this directly, but it's very, very strongly implied. It's her dad. And her villain dad, the end game he has is that he will impregnate her with these demons.
Uh-huh.
So that to me was like the standard of like, what the fuck? So her dad's gonna... What? What? Ew. Gross. Ew! Anyway, there was one thing I liked about it, though. One of the magical girls, she comes from a very impoverished background. And she straight up says in one of the early episodes that the only reason she's a magical girl is she gets paid to do it. And I appreciated that.
Okay.
And I felt like they handled her well and contextualized that well. And I appreciate that they weren't like, oh, see, she's not a magical girl for the right reasons. It's like, nope. She's doing this because she's going to get money from it.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Down in the shit tier, kicking children in the face tier.
Now we've moved out of that, haven't we?
Well, I mean, I put Blood Lad down here, but Blood Lad's fine. It's quite colourful. It's just...
bland?
Yeah.
But no one's kicking children in the face or punching whales, so how would you say it's in that
There's
tier?
a lot of very bouncy boobs, like kind of shonen style.
Yeah, but we're talking about whale punching.
Okay, fair enough.
Not,
Did they punch a whale?
Not sausage punching.
Okay. What? Okay, dear.
Hitting your meat.
Oh, okay. All right. Shall we move on?
Wasn't there one other one that you want to mention, not because it was any good or you liked it, but because it was a thing that existed?
Which one?
Kinera Mosaic?
Oh, yeah. This is just a forgettable 4 cute girls do cute things. One of the girls was from England, so people put subs over the header going, "You what, mate? Fucking fight me over here." But yeah, I only brought this up because this was fucking huge in Japan. In a way that, I don't think there's not sure there's any other anime this decade, certainly for more, apart from, maybe kids stuff, where there's such a dramatic difference between how big it was in Japan and how big it was in the West. This shit sold like nothing else. Well, okay, no. It sold really, really well in Japan. No one gave two shits about this in the West.
There are a few people, but not many.
No, yeah.
Didn't it get a movie?
Probably.
They go to England, I think.
Of course they do.
That happens a lot of anime movies.
Well, it's because they always drink tea, and it's like,
tea.
Yeah.
We drink tea also, but ours is green.
Yes. Anyway, do you want to talk about good anime, though?
Yes.
Okay.
Like Symphogear G! Folks, Symphogear is great. Symphogear G was even better than the original Symphogear, even though there was no, I'm gonna shoot the moon because I'm mad at God. It was still really good.
That wasn't what I was going to bring up, but I was going to leave you to say something and then me to go no, we were talking about good anime.
I mean, I just gave you an opening.
Oh, yes.
But you didn't really, your plan failed.
Okay.
Anyway, Symphogear G, love it. I'm so glad they're making more Symphogear.
If we're talking about sequels, we also had the sequel to Genshiken this season, Genshiken Nidaime, which is where they've all graduated. Now there's a whole new cast, and they're all women.
Oh, I think this was adapted from a spin-off of the original, or the sequel to the original
Yes,
manga.
it was a sequel to the original manga. It's where, so yeah, they've all graduated, and now it's all women casts. And it's okay.
Wasn't there a character who's trans?
Oh,
Or was it just someone who cross-dressed?
I think so. And now I can't. That's the problem. It was kind of forgettable.
See, I haven't watched any of it. I just seem to recall something at the time.
Yeah.
But I don't know if there's a character who's actually trans or a character who was just cross-dressing. Admittedly, in anime, those two categories can sometimes flow together a bit.
Suddenly, yes, someone's coming to mind now. I think it was someone who liked cross-dressing to a degree. It was like, are you trans? It was kind of like maybe someone who maybe in 5 years you discovered they're trans.
Yeah, again, like I said, anime,
Yes.
in a lot of the shows, it kind of flows together, and it's not really clear what we're...
Like, it was okay, but...
Which is itself indicative of the fact that a lot of anime doesn't handle this too well, but...
Genshiken was... I liked the original Genshiken, but like this one didn't leave much of an impact, which is a shame because it was trying to do something a little different, and it almost felt like people not liking it felt like they were punishing him for going for all female cast over all mostly male cast. But it had a very different tone. It just didn't quite work as well. God bless him, but yeah. Do you want to talk about Danganronpa?
Gosh, that's quite a...
Because we've been like jumping around a bit, but let's jump right back up top to like...
Stuff that we actually liked.
Yes, because we...
Wait a minute, I did talk about Sunfo Gyuji. I loved that. Yes. Sunfo Gyuji has this... Look, there's a character who tells everybody that he's going to be history's last action star. Actually, that might be in GX. Anyway, whatever. It's a great show. Anyway, so Danganronpa.
Danganronpa.
You know...
I think Danganronpa fucking sucks.
I enjoyed it. I think it had its issues. I know that people who played the game weren't super happy with the way it was adapted, but I never played the game, so I don't really care. This is pulpy. It's a survival... Well, calling it a survival game. It's kind of a survival game crossed with, like Phoenix Wright.
Yeah.
Ace Attorney, that thing. Because it's set in a weird world. There's these people who are all locked in the school, and they're like, I am the greatest this, or the greatest that, and it's all ridiculous stuff. And none of them seem to remember how they got there exactly, but they know that the world's apocalyptic outside, and then people start getting murdered, and they have trials where they're trying to figure out, okay, who did it, and if they decide that someone did it, then they get executed, and most of the executions are ridiculous. I enjoyed it quite a bit as a ridiculous piece of entertainment.
It's most notable.
Speaking of stuff that's not great with anime, not being great with trans stuff, though, we have this really stupid storyline, which involves this kid who we think is a girl, but then it turns out it's a boy who's dressing as a girl because he's kind of small and a little bit delicate, and he figured it would be easier to be a girl than to be, or to present as a girl than present as a boy, which is really fucking stupid on a lot of levels, and that whole episode was really not great. But it also doesn't help that they're killed by someone who's basically having a gay panic moment. Okay. And fandom ran with that and was like, yeah, we ship these two, and it's like, he murdered him? This is not romantic. I know this franchise is fucked up, but still, come on. But I really liked I remember really liking the ending theme and some of the OPs. So, but you didn't like it, so clearly it was garbage.
What?
I'm teasing you.
Okay. I kind of quite aggressively dislike Danganronpa, I'll admit.
Oh, wow.
Anyway.
That's your loss.
It's my loss. So I've been kind of dancing around not talking about this, But we had a show this season called No Matter What Way You Look at It, It's You Guys' Fault I'm Not Popular. Which was pretty big at a time.
Abbreviated as Watamote.
Watamote.
The fact that you've held back on this is kind of shocking because I am going to guess that this is probably in your top 5 for the decade.
Yes. I'm relatively alone. I know there's people who like really, really respect this show. Like similar, like it's a girl who like basically she's
completely socially inept.
Socially inept to the point of like borderline panic attack if someone talks to her. But she hasn't realized that she has a problem yet. And therefore blames everyone else for her problems.
You know, what's interesting here is that you brought up Lovecom Snafu earlier.
Yeah.
And I'm going to bring that up again because I feel like this is the more realistic / vicious take on someone whose attitude is, toward their peer group is like, whatever, you're all just shallow bitches anyway, and go fuck yourself, whatever, I don't need you, blah. This whole thing is just stupid anyway.
Yes.
This is the harsher take on that.
And because it's written from someone who went through the same experience. She's an otaku, but she's got this friend in middle school, and they've been the whole time in middle school going like, when we are high school girls, we're going to be the best because that's what all the media says we're going to be. It's going to be great. And then you cut to like her being in high school for like 2 or 3 months later and being like, what? Why am I not popular? Why is no one talking to me? What's happening? Why am I a mess? Why am I doing nothing with my life?
And it's also, I do want to point out though, it's not a case of, it's not, in case it's coming across this way, it's not insisting on some level that loners are inherently like weird and unhappy because they're lonely. Because that's not what's going on. She's clearly not okay with the situation.
She is not happy with the situation. She can't admit it to herself though that it's her fault up until like maybe towards the end of the show. Because
it's sympathetic but harsh.
It's yes, that's the best way to describe it, because it is one of the most cringe-inducing shows out there. It's genuinely difficult to watch. Like scenes where she's just trying to do something simple like walk past some attractive people, and she just physically can't bring herself to do it. And she's like, maybe if I pose like they do and do the duck face thing, it'll be okay. And I think something that's like. But the one thing that shows, like, she's always like in the back of her mind going like, all these dirty sluts and all these bad cunts out there, like, fuck them all terrible people. And then they'll see them and go, oh hi, and then walk off. And it's like everyone in that show is actually generally just a nice person. It never crosses their mind really to talk to her because she's not really our friend.
Yeah, you get the sense it's not that people are trying to exclude her intentionally. It just. A lot of the other people she interacts with, it seems more like, well, she's been very repressed. She's been very withdrawn herself, so it comes across more as, well, I'm being polite to my classmate, but they probably don't want to be bothered.
Yes.
Is the way that it seems like she's probably viewed by her peers.
Yeah, like there's only very few people she can open up to. Like there's her brother, who is classic little brother of like, get the fuck out of my room, kind of thing. And
her friend from middle school, who like gets really cute, and she's doing fine in her high school. Yeah, and because the scenes where she hangs out with them is like they have tons of fun, and she can finally break out and be like, oh, those trash people out there, oh yeah, and she does the classic. Takes a Hoover to her face, and he's like, I got a hickey, Wait, classic? What?
That is a classic thing to do.
Maybe where you come from.
Okay, I'm surprised you haven't heard people do that.
I've never heard of anyone doing that.
I'm kind of shocked, but yeah.
I don't think I knew anyone. I don't know. I've never heard that. Maybe it's an Irish thing.
Maybe it's an Irish thing. Irish men are around with hoovers, but yeah.
Just don't, never mind.
Yes, I know exactly what you're thinking. But yeah, it's the fact that like people in that show, like there's one scene where she's like, she spends the early episode talking about how much the teacher's just like an absolute shithole who probably only a teacher because he wants to like look at high school girls or something. And then later on in the episode, she's like standing on a bridge where it's stormy, going like, "Whoa, this is great!" And like the teacher sees her and like panics and runs over and starts giving out to her for like, "That was dangerous. You don't stand on a bridge in the storm like this." Blah, blah, blah. And she's in there going, "Sorry." Which it kind of like went again. Yeah, it's the whole thing, and it's really well shot. It's really well directed. It's got an arc through it as well. Because she goes from complete denial, just this gradual realization of her own loneliness, kind of thing. It's hanging out with her friend that kind of sparks that, because that's what makes her realize that like,
oh, this is fun.
Yes,
I like talking with my friend.
Yeah, tragic. It's a kind of a tragic show. I do think the second last episode is a fantastic kind of ending to it, because it's this moment where she just like makes an emotional connection with someone and gives her a hug, and it's like this moment of like someone has recognized that you were lonely, which is one thing that no one in the show does not, like her own parents can't even realize it. Her brother just thinks she's a stupid older sister. And like as much as like the sister tries to seek out just to talk with him about something. Yeah, it's a comedy, but it's a cringe comedy that is difficult to watch, and I absolutely love it. Genuinely one of my favorite anime. It's kind of a sign of what comedy is capable of doing. Like when I say favorite anime of all time, Watamote is, and that's not a popular opinion. It was a lot of people watched it, but a lot of people watched it just to sort of experience it. And they came away going, "Oh yeah, that was a thing." But there's not many people who will say it's like one of their favorites. So, but I love it. And of all, like nearly all my favorite stuff from this decade are stuff that was stupidly popular anyway. Watamote is the one exception. I'm really, really into that show. But yeah, I was always going to spend a while talking about Watamote. What else was there this season?
Well,
we had
there are a bunch of things that I would call. I'm tempted to call them cult hits.
Yes.
Ish.
That's how I get.
Which isn't to say that they didn't do well. It's just I don't think that a lot of people outside the more hardcore types were watching these.
Maybe not for Silver Spoon.
Okay, I was thinking of. I'm thinking of like.
Gatchaman Crowds.
An Eccentric Family.
Yes. Yeah, they were definitely more obscure.
Or, they were the ones that people who have already been watching anime for a while watched, if that makes sense. So, like,
Gatchaman Crowds was by the director Kenji Nakamura, who previously did, we forgot this at the time, but he previously did Suritama and Mononoke and Trapeze, the really, really weird psychology one.
I liked Mononoke. I liked parts of it. Anyway.
Gatchaman Crowds had basically nothing to do with the original Gatchaman whatsoever, but it was kind of a... How would you even describe it? I ended up not watching much because I didn't like the main character.
So I watched the entire show.
Just the first season?
Yeah. I watched a few episodes of the second season. I just didn't really dig it. To be honest, I don't really like Gatchaman Crowds as a whole.
I think it had some things that were quite prescient, though, if I remember.
Yeah. It had... So, Gatchaman was a Sentai show, and Gatchaman Crowds uses that to build this thing that, yes, it's still got that Sentai core, but it ends up being, it's a lot of social commentary and raises a lot of questions about social media and...
The power of social media to get people into power, basically, wasn't it?
Yeah, or the power of social media to bring people together to accomplish things. See, it's been a while since I've given it much thought. There's some interesting ideas in it. I just didn't really dig it as a whole. Some of the stuff that happens in the climax, I look at and I'm just not convinced of its validity in a real life situation. Also
the main character.
See, I didn't mind her.
She's my least favorite character of the decade.
Really?
No, there's worse. Might be my least favorite main character though.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't mind her.
Hayate Su. She talks like this, Su.
That wasn't her name.
Was it Hayate, wasn't it?
No, her name was Hajime.
Hajime Su, sorry.
Anyway.
And she randomly extend vocabulary in the middle of her sentences.
Okay, we got it.
Oh my god, I hated her.
Tell us how you really feel.
Oh, I actually loved her secretly.
So, spoilers, but the main villain ends up living in one of her breasts at the end.
Naturally.
That was weird. And I didn't like it. Because the villain's is a fairly nasty individual, so for that to happen was kind of like, just light him on fire or something, folks. Come on, he doesn't need to live in her boob. Like, for fuck's sake. Really now. Who keeps a villain in their boob?
Look.
Eccentric family, yes.
Anyway.
Here's something else I actually didn't really like.
Yeah, I watch a lot of this because it's by the author of
Tatami Galaxy,
which
right?
we're both big fans of.
Yep.
Also did Night is Short Walk on Girl, which we have the DVD sitting right here.
You know, whenever I hear the title of that, I'll admit, all I can think is Night is Short, Get Fucked, wah.
Yes.
I don't know why.
Eccentric family. It's about a family of
Tanuki
humans
in Kyoto.
Tanuki humans, basically in Kyoto, and
they shapeshift.
And it's like they're slightly dysfunctional. All the brothers are off doing weird shit.
Yeah, it's a bunch of brothers, and
one of them's a frog.
Yeah, because he's bummed out because he blames himself for their dad's death.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, their dad got eaten.
But yeah, and it's
by people.
Yeah, by. Oh yes, I remember now because she was like one of the few good things. One of the things I liked about the show was
because there's this character Benton, and she's a regular human being, and she was the one who served up their dad as a meal at some big event.
Yes.
Because there's like this club that's kind of exclusive, but when I say exclusive, I don't mean in the like velvet rope type exclusive. I mean it's a bunch of like politician types and business leaders in Kyoto who have this little club where they eat tanuki every year.
Yeah.
And so she served up their dad.
Yeah.
Which understandably causes some, because she definitely had pre-existing relationships with the family before she did this.
Yeah.
And the guy who's basically her lead is also has the hots for her, but it's like, you ate my dad, but I'm a horny teenager.
I don't think he's a teenager by that stage, but...
Well, he acts like one in a lot of ways.
He shapes his... See, I remember this show just being kind of like... I set up a lot of elements and then the characters sort of talk around subjects, and I found it kind of boring.
I just didn't think it was as profound as a lot of people seemed to take it as. I also thought that the female cast was pretty lame. The mom gets... The first time we meet the mom, she's basically dressed in a style like Oscar DeJarge's from Rose of Versailles. So at first I was like, wow, mom's cool. But then she's kind of useless for the rest of the show, and she's not cool. And there aren't that many female characters at all in the show. Because there's one who's supposedly the lead's fiancé or something. We barely see her. It didn't, it was nice to see. This was a PA work show.
Yes.
And was a big departure visually for them. Mm-hmm. So, it was nice to see them trying something a little different for once, but I didn't like it.
My dislike of it is kind of dimmed over time. I think because I don't see people talk about it anymore.
But they made a second season in the past few years.
Yeah. I think it was just like, it was because like whatever it was trying to say was not going over my head, but I just didn't think it was
really that meaningful.
Yeah, so kind of people who were going crazy over it was like, this isn't that meaningful, guys.
You know what it is too? I'm always, when there's a show that I don't dig, but other people seem to really feel moved by, I'm always a bit... It's like, okay, what are they getting out of this that I'm missing? What's... Yeah. With things that I just straight am like, this is complete garbage. But with things like this where you do have people not just being like, oh, I love this show, but I love this show, you know, it's meant a lot to me. I find it moving. It has these messages that are very important, meaningful, whatever. Then I do find myself going, all right, so what's going on here? Anyway, what's going on here is I didn't like the show.
Yes. I mean, it was hardly very big. It was just, we just hang out in a crowd of people.
That's why I said it was kind of a cult hit.
Whereas Silver Spoon was, I mean, so it's by the author.
The Full Metal Alchemist.
Hiromu
Arakawa.
Who draws herself as a cow, if you ever read Full Metal Alchemist. And the reason she draws herself as a cow is because she grew up on a farm. Hence why she has all this knowledge of agricultural stuff.
Wow, it's sort of like, what if Moyashimon without the weird rape stuff?
Yeah. Moyashimon's a lot weirder. So it's about
I don't think anyone reaches up a cow's ass in Moyashimon.
I think they do.
Do they?
Well, so like...
Whatever.
Agricultural shit...
Silver Spoon.
Agricultural stuff would always be kind of inherently weird because it involves a lot of shit and...
You know what, too? I would argue agricultural stuff for most viewers is going to be somewhat weird from
weird
the
and
very
alien.
Exactly, because it's just not something most of us have much understanding or experience of.
Yeah, if you're a city boy, like, well, we're both suburbanites, really.
I'm from a metro area, thank you.
Okay.
You're from way out in...
I'm a suburbanite then. Actually, I'm borderline country bumpkin.
But I meet, well, with all those horses. But even... Here's the thing, though. Even if you're from a rural area, there are some rural areas where, yes, there's still a lot of farming that goes on that involves people, a lot of the people locally, but... You know, I think about some rural parts of the U.S. that they don't have agriculture. Just because you're rural doesn't mean you have agriculture. So I think this is just going to be weird for most people.
Yeah, so it's about a city boy who basically rebels from his parents and decides instead of joining some high-end college, it was like high school because he's 16. Instead decides to go to an agricultural college in the middle of nowhere.
Maybe this is about one of my brother's friends growing up. Basically did that.
Exactly this,
He's like, fuck you, Mom. Fuck you, Dad. I'm going to the agricultural high school.
Yeah. And like it's a bit fish out of water because they're all like, whoa, you can like do maths and shit. Whereas he looks at them as like, you can stick your hand up a cow's butt and not be phased. There are actually the characters
That's probably important for a would-be farmer, though.
Yes, in fact, there is one of the female characters in this, the very large woman who's like shaped like a beach ball, but also like extreme business acumen. And she's like, she can do maths as well as anyone else. But yes, one thing the show's actually really good at is dealing with the main character trying to decide if he becomes a vegetarian or not. Because he has to go through the pig birth to pig turn to bacon process, which they call it like
I think they call that slaughtering.
Pig slaughter to like eating. And he gets the cute little piglet and he calls it, and they were like, no, see, if you name it after a food, it feels less painful. So it's like he's called Katsudon. I think I don't quite remember. They called him pork cutlet in the subs, but yeah, it's probably Katsudon. So yeah, they called him Katsudon, which is pretty great. And it actually like deals with the subject with a lot of like thought put into it, and end up having quite a bit of made me think a lot actually about the morality of it all. Like, you can't just like don't just pretend it's not you know, the joke, not the joke, but like the saying is, don't learn how the sausage is made. It's like, this is actually arguing, no, learn how the sausage is made.
That's not because of the animal, you know.
Oh.
That has to do with food cleanliness and safety.
Oh.
And the fact that a lot of sausage was adulterated with other products like sawdust.
Okay. I thought it had more to do with like learning about...
No, it's not to do with slaughtering the animal.
Okay.
It's that the sausage probably doesn't have that much pig in it.
Okay. Well, anyway. Well, let's talk... Well, yes.
Now you've learned something.
Now I've learned something. I mean, I knew that about sausages. But yes, it's quite funny as well. Like, it kind of shown me like in your face, same way the Full Metal Alchemist is. A lot of the characters...
What were the eye catches like for Full Metal Alchemist?
No, they didn't go silver spoon. Silver spoon. And there's a big angry horse who always bites the main character.
Just like real life.
But it also deals not only with that, but then there's a lot of talk about basically being a struggling family-run farm and like business farms and having to sell the farm and stuff. People have to drop out of school because they need them on the farm because they don't have enough money otherwise.
You know, there are parts of the U.S. where the school week's only 4 days long because people are needed on the farm too much.
Yeah, so that's kind of what this is about. It's really interesting. I mean, nearly everyone likes Full Metal.
Actually, in fact, the American school calendar is
built
around agriculture.
I think all school calendars are built around agriculture.
I'd say less so in most. So it depends on the country, but I'd say in a lot of Western countries that's not really the case anymore.
Well, no, but it's why they were originally built like that, and people just haven't changed it. Yeah.
The English school calendar is really not pinned to that sort of season, and the Japanese calendar or school calendar at this point definitely isn't.
Yeah, but yeah, it's really interesting show. It was the Noitamina show this season actually. Was
it?
Yes. Both seasons ran, but because it was a split core, and both seasons ran in Noitamina. I liked it quite a lot. It's not perfect. It's some kind of like slightly bland characters and stuff, but I had a lot of time for Silver Spoon. It's probably Watamote's this season, so it's not actually my favorite, but I really, really liked this show.
So there's only a couple more things to mention. I want to mention Yami Shibai, which is a short, which has gotten a lot of seasons. It's a horror show. Yami Shibai is a play on words. Kamishibai is paper theater. This is actually where... So this was a popular form of entertainment pre-World War II in Japan, where...
Earlier than that.
Well, but I mean,
yes.
It basically fell out of favor after World War II because you had the coming of television.
And manga.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But manga pre-existed World War II.
Well, that was my...
TV was a big damage dealer on it.
Because sorry to butt in, but wasn't, like, the paper theater stuff, it dates back to, like, Edo era. Like,
oh, yeah. It's old.
Yes.
What's his face got a start in Kamishibai? What's his name?
Tezuka.
I have no idea.
I don't think Tezuka did, but...
sincerely doubt that. I think he'd be too young.
Yeah.
No, what's his name? Gegege no Kitaro.
Yes.
Showa, Onward Towards Our Noble Deaths.
I know the guy, yes.
I can't think of... Oh, God, this is awful. Shigeru Mizuki died not too long ago. He got his start in Kamishibai.
Yes. Because we went to Japan and we actually saw some Kamishibai.
So we went to the International Manga Museum in Kyoto. I highly recommend it if you're there. And they were doing some Kamishibai for children while we were there.
Like age 4?
Yeah.
If you're from the UK.
It's kind of...
It's like Punch and Judy.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's sort of like puppet shows.
Yeah.
But, it's paper. So this, like I said, it's play on words. Yeah. So this is literally, instead of being paper theater, it's dark theater. So it goes with visuals that are sort of reminiscent of Kamishibai. It's shorts, it's horror. Not all of it works. When it works, it's really creepy. When it works too, it's impressive because the episodes are only about 3 minutes long. There's been 4 or 5 seasons of this now.
Yep.
And the other one, So going in completely the other direction, we have one movie.
Yes.
The Wind Rises.
Which
was supposed to be
very
Hayao Miyazaki's last, but
yeah,
he's working on something now, so...
Yeah, because he'd said he was going to retire a couple of times, but The Wind Rises felt like it...
It felt like the sort of thing that is the last thing you do.
Yes, because it's about... I mean, it's his... It felt... There's so many ways to look at this, but it's...
I would describe it as, I think it's more interesting than it is good.
Well, yeah.
I think it's flawed.
I agree with that. It's the inventor of the Zero
fighter.
Really good fighter that Japan had in World War II.
So this goes back to Miyazaki has apparently had a lifelong interest in planes.
Yes.
And in particular was very interested in this man's work, his plane designs. So this was him going back to something that was an interest of his that he...
Sort of covered in Porco Rosso.
Yeah, you got it a little bit there, but through most of his career hasn't really expressed itself in his work. Although then again, thinking about some of the flying machines and other stuff.
He's big into his flying machines.
But didn't express itself quite so overtly.
Yeah.
It's the better way to put it. So it's about the inventor of the Zero, and it follows his life for much of his adult life, like when he was first getting his start professionally.
There's that really memorable scene with the earthquake.
Yes. Yes, that's a scene that is... Like, people who don't watch anime are aware of that scene type stuff.
It's like they make the sound effects with someone just going boom into a microphone, basically.
And all the people fleeing during it, there's some of the cuts of it, every person was animated individually.
I think it's the person going brom brom into the microphone.
It's very unsettling.
Combined with the way the ground moves.
Yeah, it was the Great Kanto earthquake.
Yeah.
The guy, his wife had suffered from tuberculosis. It's a bit of a melancholy film.
I think because it's a biography, it doesn't feel like it has it's just kind of events stitched together.
Yeah.
And
But when we say biography, too, it doesn't... Where it ends is not the end of his life.
No.
It's more just... It ends.
It's a succession of his invention, basically.
Yeah.
It
was a bit So what's... One of the things that's interesting to me about this film, too, is the reactions to it in that... So in Japan, your hardcore nationalists hated this film. They said it was anti-Japanese. It was, it insulted Japanese history. It was a travesty. And it was, how could he? How could he? What a terrible person. In South Korean nationalists were like, look at this nationalist Japanese claptrap. This movie is terrible. This man is terrible. Just look at this crap. I thought that was... So
one of the most interesting... I think the reading I've heard above it that I think I might agree with is the idea, the thing that he's trying to say with this is that an artist... There's a joy in the creation of the art itself and the succeeding of the art itself, and what happens with it after that is no longer the fault of the artist. Which you could look at Miyazaki's career in anime.
Yeah, and I mean...
Which I think that's why it feels quite very fitting as him as a final send-off.
Yeah. And if you're not familiar with it, Miyazaki is very vocally pacifistic and is very much opposed to... So the Japanese constitution has pacifism baked into it, which is why they officially they don't have a military. They have a self-defense force. Well, they're trying to change that in the Japanese diet because this has been a bone of contention with nationalists for a very long time. And Miyazaki's has spoken out pretty forcefully against changing it. Which actually, we mentioned Shigeru Mizuki earlier. He was another person who was pretty forceful about no, don't change this. That would be terrible. Although Miyazaki is a fair bit younger than Mitsuki. Mitsuki fought in World War II, so he was also going from personal experience.
The other thing to say, though, about Miyazaki, and this is more meta layer, is his feelings on anime. And as a whole, there's the quite famous screen cap of him saying anime was a mistake. Which I think...
I mean, haven't we all had days like that?
But my understanding was he used to be like that. I don't think he's quite like that anymore.
I think he's mellowed a little bit.
I think he's mellowed. But yeah, there was a time where he just hated what he had created, basically, in the world of anime. And so in a way this movie was always...
Maybe it would be better to say he was frustrated at how the art form seemed to be developing.
Yes. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what he feels nowadays. It sounds like he's mellowed.
He seems a little more which, it's kind of wild because we're talking about a man who was saying that in probably his 70s, and now he's in his 80s, and...
I think maybe he's just less in the spotlight because he stopped making movies.
Well, he's also probably less stressed out because he's not...
making movies.
Yeah, but I think he's working on something now.
Yeah.
Which... I'm kind of two minds because I think The Wind Rises was a good note to end on. On the other hand, can I really grudge a person wanting to continue to do something that they clearly have such a passion for?
Yeah. Maybe he just needed the break.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the thing that's making me most sad is that Ghibli hasn't survived his moving away from it.
Well...
no one watched Marnie. No one really watched Arrietty. Well, no, actually, Arrietty did okay, but no one watched Marnie. And they don't think they've done anything since then.
It's too bad that Rania the robber baron's daughter, that got hurt by a not great international release because it got released in weird channels.
It was also CG.
Yes, but people who watched it liked it.
Yeah.
So, goodness, what a melancholy note to end on. It wasn't a big season. There was definitely stuff that I really enjoyed, but it wasn't a particularly noteworthy season on the whole.
Anyway.
And two, I don't remember when The Wind Rises got its international release, so I probably didn't even watch it at this time anyway.
No.
Although I did go see it in theaters.
Anyway.
I went and saw it with my parents.
Yes.
And thank God there was no incest like in Poppy Hill that everyone's like, oh, there's not. Yeah, okay. Thanks a lot, anime fans.
And I think we're going to close us out on Make Us Free. Oh
my God. Going from The Wind Rises into that is,
Anyway,
that's her, folks.
next time, see ya.
Feel so free な今日飛び込む俺たちのbrand new blue yeah